We from the yard where the champs don't sleep. Bloodline real, the roots run deep. The powerhouse Klaus, all muscle and tone. Champion tractor for perfection shown. She's that chocolate color perfection. But Ghana's got that smooth connection. She, the world legend. Shine so bright, now the future's lit, we taking flight. Samba Kennels, we don't play around. Brazil to the States, we shut it down. Drip too clean, our boots too loud. Talk that talk, we made the crowd proud. Samba, 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 samba,
Hey everyone, good evening. We're live. I'm just gonna wait a little bit until everyone joins us. We're a little bit late. Forgive us for this late entering, but we are here. Please share the live so everyone can know that we are live.
Samba family, all worldwide known. We stay original, hold our throne. Mas samba tá pesado demais. Brasil no topo, força em paz. Beat hits it hard, that samba sound. Texas and Brazil both hold it down. Samba Kennels, real work. From Klaus to Chic, from Bucanas to Puma. We ain't playing, we producing great. That's samba.
That's samba. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my beautiful, beautiful samba family team. How are you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful. Glad to be here.
Great. Glad to have you guys back. It's Thursday night. Today we have a very controversial topic. We're going to talk about rumors and hating and all of those stuff that we know that happens all the time in social media, especially when you are a bigger name. You know, nobody attacks what's not being seen, right? So, but first I want to say a special good evening to one of our family team members that hasn't been here in a while because he's been working so hard. Oscar from Samba, Florida. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing
good
great.
Evening.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm doing great.
How come you're not coming to the lives lately? You've been working. I told everyone that you have a job and it's been very hard for you to participate. But tell me about the dogs. How are they doing?
They're doing great. They're doing awesome. We only have one boy left from Nebula and Hope. Pretty nice. And Nebula and Hope. Nebula and Vitello. And just 3 puppies right now from Shake, my favorite dog, and Hope, my favorite female. They're growing. They're right here. They are 40 days today. They're pretty good. They're growing. They're nice. Everything is nice. Everything is cool. It feels fresh after almost the whole litter is gone. So it's feeling better. Doing
and
great.
Oscar, I really apologize for Colombia. I watched that game and I'm just as sad as I was for Brazil. I mean, almost, not as much because Brazil broke my heart. But yes.
Yeah, but you saw how Colombia fight. We fight until the last minute.
You guys did. I cannot say the same for Brazil. I was not impressed by Brazil's performance. I want to know from everybody that's watching us, who is your guess to win the World Cup? If you can leave it in the comments here. Let's see who is going to win. Definitely not Brazil and Colombia, so they're out.
Not Mexico, not USA.
Neither Mexico. Yeah.
No Mexico, no USA.
Hey, no USA. USA got me so disappointed, guys. How is that goalkeeper is gonna walk out? Oh my God. Nah.
And France won today over Morocco, because I was gonna hope for Morocco, you know, because they are, you know, the weakest team, I guess. And now we only have European teams. Is that right? This is the European World Cup?
Yes.
Yes.
They took all Latin Americans out last week.
I do want to relate to the World Cup with something that is very common for us. I do relate breeds to sports, you know. remember how Brazil and Argentina, I mean, Argentina is still very good, but Brazil used to be one of the biggest names. We are the only team in the world that has 5 World Cup wins. That's why we have 5 stars on top of the thing here. And I was talking to a few friends the other day about the correlation of football, and we call it football, but it's soccer, of soccer and breeds and business, you know, just the dog business. If you think about it, everything evolves. I was mentioning the Brazilian soccer team. We had the biggest artists in Brazil. I sometimes even send to the Samba family group chat that we have on WhatsApp. I was very excited during the games, and they were probably saying, "Stop sending Brazil shit here, or we want to talk dogs, not soccer." But I was always showing them some of the old school players like Ronaldinho Gaúcho, like Pele. You know, these guys, they really played very well, and especially the guys in the 90s, you know, Romario. And but as the time evolves, these guys started making too much money. We lost Vito, did we?
Yeah, he's having a hard time with hearing. I think it's
Okay, he's back. Let's see. Can you hear us, Vito?
Yeah,
Can you hear us?
yeah, you were pretty choppy before. I don't
Okay.
hear it
Am
yet.
I choppy for everyone or just
Is
for
everybody-
Vito?
No, Vito.
Okay. So we were saying, Vito, that, you know, I was comparing the World Cup and how the soccer teams evolved along the years. And look at Norway that beat Brazil. That guy, Holland, we made a whole bunch of funny videos. There are so many funny videos on that guy and Vini Jr., which was the #1 player in the Brazil soccer team. And they made a whole bunch of funny videos. But that guy, you know, these teams, they have evolved in training. Maybe they don't have the natural talent that Brazil used to have, because the Brazilian guys, they play when they're very poor. They play at the favela, they play at the beach with no shoes, and they get sponsored as they get better, but they also get very spoiled nowadays. They make a lot of money, they party a lot. You know, Neymar, he has a known story of, I'm not going to say here because I might get sued, but he doesn't have the most athlete style lifestyle. You kind of athlete kind of style, you know, lifestyle. Oh, athlete kind of lifestyle. Now this Haaland guy, he's extremely disciplined. He's extremely healthy. He eats proportion. He's very dedicated to what he's doing, and look how much he's playing. So as the same way that soccer, there's the talent, but if you don't work with everything else, it doesn't matter if you guys, you know, these guys were like always known as being the best soccer. It's not gonna last. And the same thing goes for breeders. We might have talent, but if we don't have consistency, if we don't keep recycling ourselves, because the breed will evolve. The breeds evolve. And look at Vito. It is such an honor for me to have somebody that in his breed, he's an OG. You guys have no idea the knowledge. I think that if we put everybody that's here on this screen plus everybody else that's watching and mix it all together, we don't get 1% of the knowledge that Vito has when it comes to dog breeding. And he's humble. He's going to say no, but he is very knowledgeable. So look at him. He overcame all of his myths as a OG, because usually people that are old school in breeding, and I am one, but I also overcame my stereotypes and my, you know, I was so used to a breed that's very structured. You know, Dogo Argentino, they have perfect structure. And I looked at all these dogs that are all crooked and I wanted to fix them. And it hurt my eyes a lot, but I overcame that in order to try to improve to a better breed. And I think that with soccer is the same way. It doesn't matter. Just the talent is not enough. You have to have discipline. You have to have consistency. You have to study, and you have to go above and beyond, because breeds will evolve. And all of these old school guys that are in the American bullies, especially, the OGs of the blue pits that come to me and say, whoa, this is not a real dog. They can't do. But guys, the breeds evolve. What makes the breed is not just the function. Unless you have a functioning breed, if you have a pet breed, what makes the breed is the demand, is the public desire. And there is evolution for that. We evolve in form, we evolve in colors, they evolved in health. Because imagine, these dogs in the beginning, they were crooked. When I started, I saw a lot of XL American bullies, very, very bad structurally. And now, most of them are, you see a lot of very good quality gene pool for the XL American bully that we didn't see 5 years ago. So that's the evolution, because there was time, consistency, breeders doing selection. And like everything, it's not just talent. It has to have dedication, investments, and vision, right? And obviously, Europe is ahead of everybody else in soccer. Maybe because it's not just the talent. Maybe they're not the most talented ones, but they are probably the ones putting the more serious time and a little bit of luck, of course. But I guess that's it. Well, good luck for whoever wins the World Cup. All I know is that Brazil is not there, Mexico is not there, Colombia is not there, and America is not there anymore. So good evening, everyone. We're going to talk about dogs now, and we're going to have a little conversation about something that is very controversial, especially when it comes to Facebook. Vito, I would love to show a video that you sent us today. Let me see, where is it? Here it is. I'm going to try to share this with you guys, because this has a lot to do with what we are going to talk about tonight, okay? Hey, everyone, we only have 10 people on the live. Come on, let's share this live, please. I think people don't know that we are live tonight. Did you guys do the... Let's share this live to all of your Brazilian bull breeders and Brazilian bull lovers and enthusiasts, because I want to show this little video, and this little video is very interesting with everything that we are talking about right now. Vito sent it to us. Just a second, let me locate it. Okay, here it is. I hope I can play it. Can you hear it?
No, there's no music with it.
Oh, that's why. It's right here. Sorry. Can you hear now?
No, not yet.
No?
No volume. No volume with it.
Can you hear it?
No.
No? Okay, just a second. So... Okay. Can you hear now?
No.
No. Yeah.
Can you hear now? Let me take my earphones off. I think it's picking up.
You guys hear?
I think my earphones is picking up. Just a second. Let me turn it off here. You will hear it now. My audio system has been really screwed up lately. Now it's not playing.
Everything was real choppy. I don't know what you did, but now I hear you.
Yeah, Vito's echoing.
Oh, he's echoing?
I think we all are now.
I'm not.
Yeah, now I hear everybody else echoing.
And now this thing is not playing. Great.
I'm delayed too.
Okay. It's because I have you on my notebook, and I'm not supposed to have the audio on my notebook, because this is what happens. Let me try again, once again. Can you hear it? No.
No.
I'm not even sharing it. That's
Echoing now,
why.
you hear me?
I did.
You're able to answer all these.
Yeah, I'm delayed or something.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody and see if you guys can hear now. Come on, don't do this to Mama.
It's not going to do it.
Nope, not doing it. See, we're having trouble playing this video. But anyways, I'm sorry, you guys. I will share this video, the link with you if I see it, okay?
What was it about?
This video is a video that Vito sent us in the group chat a little earlier. Maybe you didn't see it. But
I can give you a rundown.
It's echoing real bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it to here. Just a second.
I'm delayed, I think, a couple seconds.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Is it better now, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Much better. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I have a little trouble here with my speaker on my monitor blew up. And now every time I listen to, I have two monitors, and if I go to one of the monitors, that's why everybody's listening to themselves twice. So that's fixed. I have you guys here on my earphones. This way, twice. The video is beautiful, Vito. Thanks for sharing that. That basically says how nobody will attack the ones that are not being successful, the ones that are not building something, you know. And usually when you're building something, when you are working and being successful in what you do, you are the easy target. And we just have to keep on doing and keep on building. That's actually, for me, I've been dealing with this for quite some time now, but especially in the last year, you know, especially with Shake coming here and the sale of Shake and all the commotion around it, it has brought a lot of attention to Samba Kennels and to our dogs. And this is good. I mean, this is excellent, because we are building and we are exposed to haters. But Vito, I want you to explain better, because that video says some words that is really what we want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I think he's...
Vito, can you hear us?
Vito.
I'm sorry, you're not coming through real clear for me. I hear you, but
You're
it's about
frozen.
75%. You can't hear me?
We can hear you now, but I think you have a delay. Do you want to get out and come back on?
You guys can't hear what I'm...
It's delayed.
I can't hear you guys.
Let me remove him. Let me tell him to come back in. This has been crazy, you guys. I'm so sorry. Lauren, do you want to say something? I think Lauren has great ways of explaining our topic of tonight.
Hey everybody. So I think that the main point in all of this, and the question that we are asking ourselves and each other and all of you, is whether or not um, you think that bad mouthing other breeders actually hurts you or helps you. Obviously, if you're on any kind of social media, especially Facebook, Instagram, I don't see it as bad, but you see a lot of dogging on other breeders, other people's dogs. They like to pick dogs apart and throw out all the flaws. And I think that the importance in being a breeder is there's a lot of importance in transparency, being honest with people, and I'm not gatekeeping. That's not really where I'm going with that, but just being true to who you are and what you are trying to represent for yourself. Because honestly, in my opinion, obviously, it never looks good to just put other people down. You know, if you really have something valuable and worth having, then you don't have to do that in order to sell what you have. And so I just, out of uh, curiosity, I guess, for all of us, because we do a lot of talking about this stuff between ourselves. Um, do you guys think that bad mouthing other breeders or their animals helps in any kind of way? Um, I mean, I guess I can take Aria's position and ask you guys, Tony, Dee Dee, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that putting other people down, or, you know, I guess pointing out the flaws in somebody else's dogs, because that's what that is putting their product down ultimately. Do you think that that helps them?
No, not at all. Actually, every dog has flaws, and I don't think that it's our place to point out someone else's dog's flaws. Um, and it's just, to me, it's tacky, and we like to we love people, we love dogs, and I think we need to keep it classy, and to talk about another breeder or their dog or their program. That's not how we roll. I think we need to lift everybody up in this community instead of bring them down. And one negative comment to somebody could really, really bring someone down. And so we really need to be careful with our words and how we approach things like that.
Perfect. Perfect. I agree with you.
Me too.
I do agree with you, and I also think that working with dogs, the magic of working with dogs is that actually we need the flaws. What would happen if we only had perfect dogs? How can we show our talent in improving dogs if we work with perfect dogs? There are no perfect dogs. I love working with flaws. I love being able to improve the flaws. And that it's my challenge every day. I don't give a shit about everybody else. I don't give a flying freak about what everybody else is doing. All I care for is the challenge that I have with the ones that I have in my backyard, and that's who I'm focused, because I want to make them better. I want to make sure that I bring the best out of each one of the dogs that we have here. And that is the magic, that is the art of breeding, you know. And if our dogs have flaws, that's great. You know, it's okay to work with flaws as long as they are not going to, you know, a structural flaw that is going to impact on quality of life. Flaws like bad temperament, that's a big no for me, you know. But other than that, I agree with you, Didi. And I think that before we are breeders, we are people. And this is a sport. This is a sport. We have to learn that before any dog, we have to respect people. And I think that's the thin line that divides the real good breeders from the other ones, is when you are about people more than you are about dogs. You know what I mean?
I also feel too, I think I'm hard critiquing my own dogs. I don't have the time to critique someone else's dogs. I'm worried about what's in our camp. Um, and I just now if I see a dog that has issues or whatever, I keep my opinions to myself. I'm sure they know, they're seeing exactly what we're seeing. And just like my dogs, when someone sees my dogs, they have flaws, and I see them, I'm sure they see them. But to talk bad about each other, breeders and stuff, I just think it's wrong. And it needs to, we need to lift each other up.
For real. That's it. Vito, do you want to say anything? I think you do. I'm trying to unmute your mic because it's really noisy. There you go, Vito.
Do you guys hear me? Okay.
Oh,
Because I was having
yes.
trouble. My
Super
Starlink's not
loud, by the
working
way.
good, I guess.
No, it is good.
I'm loud? Okay.
No,
Let me turn it down.
now it's good.
See if that helps. I mean, I could talk for, me, I could talk for 12 years on this subject because coming up for the last 30 years, when I started, there was nobody was on the internet really. Chat boards kind of started. And so internet fighting and all that crap was new to me. And when I was younger and when people would talk crap about my dogs, that was one thing I wouldn't tolerate. And so I fought with people forever, physically, mentally, and I can tell you it's not worth it. It was such a big waste of time. I wish I had all that time back. I can't even remember some of the things that have happened, and the video that I sent talked about, if you're an Olympic swimmer, they don't criticize people that swim. If you're a world-class athlete, if you're a world-class soccer player, you don't walk around talking shit to people just starting out or just trying their best. If you're a great musician, you would not make fun of somebody that just started playing the guitar. It's always the people that don't do nothing. They sit on the sign line and point out, every little thing you do wrong. Well, when you breed dogs, if you're honest, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to breed litters that don't turn out. You're going to produce a dog that you wish, you never did, or maybe has flaws in it that you're embarrassed about. You're going to make mistakes. It's not a perfect science. And it's easy for people to point and say, oh yeah. And it's never the people, they never point at a dog that's, just starting out. It's some dog that's got some notoriety. And then it's the mindset of these dudes that think, my dogs don't get enough attention, so I think I'm going to try to tear down the other guy's dog. And that never works. All that makes you look like is a jerk. And it actually brings more attention to the dog that's getting all the attention in the beginning anyway. So if you're not happy with your dogs, do something about it. If you don't like how they're being promoted, learn how to promote them better. If you think you have the best dog, get out and compete in the venues that you are interested in. But talking crap about other breeders, talking about any aspect of another breeder's dog, it's never going to make your dogs worth a crap. It's just the way it is. So, like I said, I could talk forever. I've gone through all kinds of stupid things that I'm embarrassed to even admit that I took part in, but I'm just saying, newer people just starting out, if you produce something that's nice, or if you buy something that's nice, you become a target. There's a lot of little people with small minds that they'd rather talk shit about people than talk about the issues or talk about the dogs or breeding or anything that goes along with it that's positive. They just want to tear your ass down. So I've had people say my dogs are this and that, and I'm this, and I punch grandmas, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Anything to try to bring you down. So unfortunately, human nature, by the time a lie is generated and circles the earth 5 times before the truth puts its tennis shoes on. So it's just human nature. People want to hear negative more than when somebody says, "Oh, Vito's an angel. He's a great guy." They don't want to hear that. When they hear somebody say Vito punched a guy, Vito's a jerk. He's a real creep. Boy, they want to hear that. The negative stuff. That's why the Jerry Springer Show was such a big hit for so long. It's the ugliest part of humanity. Making an ass out of yourself. People want to watch that. It's like watching a car accident or something. I don't know, and the dogs. Everybody's passionate. And everybody loves their dogs. I mean, I hope they do. And if you're really trying to do something, you're putting a lot of effort in. I mean, for 30 years, I did a lot of, most of my life revolved around feeding, cleaning poop, planning breedings, you name it, all kinds of stuff. And then when somebody comes in and tries to make up lies about you or make lies about your dog, it pisses you off. But the worst thing you can do is engage with those people. That's what they want. It's like stepping in shit. You never get it off your foot. It's better just to avoid it. Is that the quote for the night?
What's that, Vito? You're right. Is everybody listening okay, guys? You guys that are watching the live, I listen Vito perfect. What did you ask, Vito?
Oh, I can hear you now pretty good. Oh, no, I was just saying, sometimes you get these people, I remember in training, I've been to seminars for sales, and they call them dump trucks. They're people that just want to dump crap and disrupt, and that's what they enjoy doing. They're not trying to, they're just trying to drag you down, thinking, hey, if I knock the competition, they're going to notice my dog finally. It's not how it works. People are going to notice when something appeals to them, and you can't make them, like your stuff, even if you talk bad about them. I had a meme I put up the other day because we were talking about that, and I think I made it like 20 years ago, and I forget what something about. It's easy to point your finger when you're sitting on the sidelines, but when you're in there doing it, you're trying, you're working, you're at least trying to do something. And the people that are critics are the ones that have never done a freaking thing. If they can't compete, they turn into the little critics. All of a sudden they're experts on you and everything bad about your dog. So
that's important that you said.
I think it's some new people. I mean,
that is very important what you're saying, Vito. Just let me make a comment here. To start, I never listen to comments, critiques from people that haven't done at least what I have done. You know what I mean? Like, if you haven't built at least of what I have built, who are you to critique on what I'm doing? Unless it's something that you master more than I do, I will totally listen to you. But in my business, what I do, for you to actually critique, I will take criticism, like constructive criticism, and I think that's being humble. But for you to critique or to or underestimate what I'm doing, you gotta at least have built something better than I did so far, Sorry, Vito, just wanted to make a comment on what you're saying, because you're absolutely right about that.
You were breaking up for me. My reception's bad tonight, I think.
It's okay. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, I was just saying my reception's bad, so I only heard about 20% of what you said. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Vito.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just saying, when you're working to do something, you're passionate about it, and then somebody that's never done something, I've had podcasts I've done about inbreeding, line breeding, outcrossing, and of course, people. There's always one guy that wants to be the expert, and he starts knocking everything you say just because he wants to knock what you're saying. And then you ask, "Hey, have you ever inbred a litter?" No. Have you ever outcrossed? No. Have you ever created a breed from scratch? No. Then you're not an expert. You don't know what you're talking about. Not that I'm an expert, but when you give your experience, what your take on the universe is, and people want to knock it, or I produced a dog that one of my clients showed to a dual grand champion. Oh my God! As soon as that happened, and he was a little different type of dog. He was a little better structure, a little more better movement, a little more of a performance type dog for the type of dog that I bred. And there's some people that said some positive things, and that's it. As soon as these haters hear that, they automatically, oh, he crossed in a pointer, he did this, he did that, It's always some excuse, something happened, you did something wrong. And it's just like that. A critic is somebody that can't do it himself, so he'll criticize other people, and when he hasn't even done it himself. And I can understand why a lot of athletes and musicians and actors get pissed off at their movie reviews or the review from a critic, and it's like they'll say, that guy has never done any of this. Maybe I wasn't the best, but what the hell? He's doesn't have any experience, so how does he know what's great and what's not great? But I wasted a lot of time on all that crap. It's better to just ignore it. As soon as you get somebody that calls you out and says, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to do this, or your dog's this, is the minute you start fighting back with them, it's just a waste of time. I get into dog breeding. It's my passion because I like to fight on the internet. Just leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. If you don't like what you're doing, I can't help you. Knocking me is not going to make your dogs any better. So.
And plus, we also have.
You guys hear me? Because you're
yes.
choppy.
All good. All good. Vito, if you go to the three dots, on your screen, you go to the three dots and you go on edit mic settings. Try to turn down your mic a little bit. Maybe it will help.
I have it down pretty low. Let's see. Is that better?
I mean, it's not about, we hear you well. It's about you listening to us, not choppy, Or maybe try to disconnect.
I hear everybody except you.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Is it better now?
Like the screens go out. It's like, I hear you now. I hear you now. Good.
Because I am the host. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. Well, I just wanted to say something, guys. Like I said, can you hear me okay, everyone? Okay. Because I muted everybody just because there's less background noise. I've been doing this for a few years now. And when I started bringing all these Brazilian dogs, you guys remember, many of you remember, if you let me know how long you've known Samba Kennels, you guys that are watching, for how long you've known me and my story and my dogs. Let me know in the comments how many years you guys have been following me, because I want to know. I have gone through so much hate. And imagine if I had listened to them. Imagine if I had stopped building what we built. Imagine how many lives would not be impacted and affected if I had not continued doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? Look at all this what we built. Look at this family here. Look at what we have. We go to shows together. We have daily meetings. We have weekly lives. We have done a snowball effect of building our Brazilian bull community through each one of the people that are here and through each one of you guys. If I had not taken the pressure back then and just said, hey, I don't have eyes for this type of things, I don't have ears for this type of things, I'm just gonna work, and I believed what I was doing, and I faced all of them, especially the insecure, sorry to say this, but most of the time they were men, insecure men that attacked me online, on my back, in front of me, behind me, whatever. They were just attacking me, and oh, because these dogs, and oh, they're mixed, or they are not good, or I've seen people taking bad angle photos of my dogs to try to post and make them look bad, and that just gave me so much more energy to just keep building. And nowadays, please forgive me if I don't answer you guys on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I have almost 400, almost 500,000 followers in multiple platforms, and I have messages every day, and I try to answer the ones that I see the most, but it's almost impossible for me to do what I do, work how I work, take care of my dogs, and be responding, especially when I go to Instagram and when I go to do my social media, because that's part of my work. That's how I engage with my audience, and that's what they request from me. This is what I love to do. Do you think I have time to stop doing a story that I'm promoting something or showing my yard or showing my dogs, or if I stop feeding my dogs, to go and to be scrolling all day on Facebook and Instagram to be reading hate comments? If I had time to do that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. So not only they are not relevant to me, they're not important, I think that it's good that it's there, because it shows that we did it right. We are here today. And if somebody attacks me, they're attacking the whole family, because we are all one. I'm no more important here than everybody else that's here with me. So if you attack one of them, you're attacking me, and vice versa. And we are going to defend each other, because this is not a kennel. This is a movement to build networking around the world regarding dog breeding. And we just have to happen to have the same breed, which is also the best breed in my my opinion. If you guys think differently, I agree, but I do think that we are connected by a sport that is dog breeding, and we are a family, we are a movement. And I don't have time to be reading, and there's so many people talking bad about us all the time, about our dogs, and about Shake, and about Klaus, and how is a lie that he was sold for 180. Well, little do they know he was sold for 300, and now he was just sold for 350 again. This dog has made more than $2 million altogether, And do you think that dog did anything? No, the people that worked behind that dog did. The people that worked behind, who made that dog, was Lucas with his work. Sorry, I have an
We can't hear you. I don't know what happened, but no, nobody can hear you.
Yeah, she's froze. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Vito. Tony and Dee Dee, can you unmute yourselves and see if we can hear y'all? And Oscar? You're still muted. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Amber
Yeah, we can hear
Alerts.
you now.
Yeah. The Amber Alert
Yeah.
screwed everything because it came through
Yeah.
my phone and my phone disconnected from the computer, my thing here. I'm sorry, you guys.
Oh,
So yeah, so imagine if we, if we had time to be, Shake was not, he's not a dog by himself. He needs the work that Lucas put together in the beginning, the marketing that he put together. He showed the dog in the right way. And then I came here. Everybody knows how picky I am about pictures with my dogs and videos. And I am teaching every one of you guys and everybody that's with me how picky I am about their pictures, because not because the dog should not be posted naturally, and I kudos for the ones that think that that's good, but if you're a professional breeder, you have to portray your dog in the best way possible. And I'm not going to let that happen to my studs, because my studs, they have to be shown the best way. And I'm not saying that I just take still pictures and I have them photoshopped for you guys to see. You guys see my dogs all the time 360 degrees, but I am very picky on what goes public, because people are mean and they will say things and do things that we have already seen. So that dog, Shake, like Klaus, like Mandibula, like Tractor, the main studs that I have here, like Puma, Puma, just because he is almost all black, he's very rare. He doesn't have any white on his chest. He's a very rare dog. He's very athletic. He's probably the best looking dog that I have in my yard altogether. And he's the most exotic looking dog for sure. But do I, just because he's like that, I just take pet pictures and post them? No, I'm a professional breeder. These are my top superstars. I'm going to take care of them like they were my Giselle Bündchen, my supermodels, And there's a whole lot more for you to make a dog to be worth so much. Shake is worth more than $2 million altogether today. I promise you, I have all the numbers on him. He was more my dog than he was anybody else. I knew the heartbeat rate of that dog. And it was just because he was a good dog? No, it's all the work that Lucas and me put for that dog to become what he was. It's being picky, it's being strategical, it's being responsible, it's taking... Before I brought him here, we had him health tested in Brazil for more than 10 exams. And Lucas is like, oh no, another one? I said, yes, I want everything. I want hips, I want elbows, I want heart, I want eyes, babesia, leishmaniasis, ehrlichiosis, things that we have there that we don't have as much here. And I'm responsible. I want to make sure that I bring the dogs healthy. But nobody knows a lot of these little details that we did. And then when the dog got here, the first thing that I did, I took him to my vet to get health tested again, to double check, to have the standards of American standards on Shake. Not only we did that, we applied for the premium pedigree. He was the first dog to ever got that. Well, that's marketing, yes, but that's also work. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of involvement. There's a lot of strategy behind it to make a dog like that. And now he is who he is. Now, did the dog sell himself to China? No, I sold him to China. I put all the freaking work on that dog to be, and it wasn't easy. It was a 5-month negotiation, because you're not selling a pizza for $30. There's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of other commitments. And I sold him for China for $300,000, but I still had 20 people in line to breed to that dog, at least. And some of them didn't breed because they didn't come up with the money at the end, because some things happen. People sometimes have to give up, and they said, okay, we'll postpone. So in the meantime, I was collecting genetics. It's frozen and it's under my name here, taken care of, in case those clients that put their deposit decide to use them. It's there. My word is only one. You work with somebody that is a professional. I'm not a pet owner. I'm not an adventurer that just came into this to make money selling dogs. I am a professional. You have a contract, you have insurance. You have insurance that if your dog that you pay a deposit for is not here, I have frozen genetics of him. You're not going to be left alone. This is what makes a business to be successful. It's not just saying, oh, it's all marketing. The dog is photoshopped. Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it because this means that we're being attacked every freaking day by every type of different haters. And I don't give a shit about it because it just makes me work harder. People send me stuff and I don't even have time to read it. Honestly, it just gives me more power and gas to keep building. Because for me, what matters the most is not what they're saying. What matters the most is what we're doing here. I'm putting money in Oscar's pocket. He invested so much in his first purchase, his first sale or his first purchase. He invested so much. Who takes $40, $50, $60,000, go to another country, is not in the business, and invests on 2 dogs pregnant? Who does that? He's got a lot of guts. But you know what was the best thing that he did? Was come to look and talk to me. Because he already made double of what he invested by working with us, by his good choices. Is that marketing? Is that Photoshop? Do you think that? No, that's brand. That's name, built on reputation, built on quality, built on professionalism. So before you want to become me, you got to do what I do for at least 20 years. Before you can hate on us, criticize us, criticize our dogs, try to do at least the bare minimum. And I'm not here to say that to you in a bad way, especially you guys, because I know everybody, most people that are watching here are our supporters. And I love you for being here. And I wish the best for each one of you. I hope that I can help you guys build what we have been building together here. But for those ones that are hating on us, thank you very much, because it just keeps us going. We love it. We just laugh at you and we keep building, because Oscar just gave himself return in less than 6 months in only 1 litter. His second litter, I'm not even letting him sell yet. His second litter is only 3 puppies. I don't even know if he wants to. I was going to offer him that I was going to buy those 3 puppies from him, because those puppies are very rare. It's Hope and Shake, one of the best females from Brazil blood. And I don't want him to sell them. That's why the prices are very high, because we only have 2 males and 1 female, you know. Maybe I'll buy it off from him. And I said, hey, just chill, you know. But of course, he needs to, you know, he's the one taking care of it. And I'm just kidding. But Lauren, she had 15 puppies. Yes, we still have a lot of puppies. We do. But she decided to keep 5 to understand which one she's going to be her keeper. You know, I decided to keep 5 from my litter. So we do have some puppies here that we are still analyzing. But she just made $30,000 like that in 5 puppies. You know, so this is not just about the dogs. It's about how we work. This is about how we work. And I don't care how people attack me or attack my team or our dogs. This is just gives us more knowledge of who you are, not who we are. And also everybody else that's watching. When you talk bad about another breeder, and I'm not talking about just Samba, when you're talking bad about another program or another person's dog or another breeder, that talks more about you than the other party. You know what I mean? Lauren, I'm sure you're dying to say something. I can't wait to hear it.
No, I think that everything that you said is very, very relevant, very necessary. I think that everybody heard you, and honestly, you addressed a lot of things that people probably have had questions about for a long time. You know, because not everybody knows what Shake sold for the first time or the second time. You know, I mean, I guess if they're not new. they know what he sold for the first time, but not necessarily the second time, and even now the third time. I think that obviously addressing it at some point is always important. And that was a question I was going to ask you, to kind of shift gears, because this wasn't necessarily supposed to. It's not about us. It's about everybody. It's about everybody getting attacked, because you see anybody gaining momentum and doing well, and people like to tear that down. And like I said, Facebook is the worst. They post it in every single group. We're part of all of the bully groups and all of the Brazilian bull groups, and you see it everywhere. So my question, not only to you but to everybody else, would be: do you think that breeders should address rumors that they see that are getting spread around, or do you think that they should just ignore them? Do you think they should leave it alone? Do you think, for example, if there's a rumor spreading around that your dog has 3 eyes, I don't know, like, I'm just throwing something out there, do you think that that is something worth addressing? Maybe one time publicly, stick it out there on your Facebook page, your Instagram page, just one time, say, look, I've heard this is what the truth is, and then leave it alone? Or do you think that you should just leave it alone altogether and not address it?
I don't. Good question. Yes, I don't usually, unless it's something that becomes, I say for sure that I don't care, because that's something that I've been listening a lot. I've heard so many times that Klaus had entropion, for example, and people were like attacking entropion, but these people don't even do freaking hips exams on their dogs, and they're worried about entropion, which is something aesthetically fixed. It does not take the quality of life of a dog, and it will only pass along 25 to 30, and it's a aesthetical corrected situation. It is not impacting on structure. It's not. And look at Klaus' sons and daughters. I only see like maybe 20% that had it, a little bit and less, because of course I bred him to females that didn't have that. Lily was an amazing female. She didn't have any history of entropion, and the litter that I had with her twice, it was really good. It is something that I don't like. I would prefer, it bothers me now. I would prefer not to have to deal with it. But this is when I started talking in the beginning of the live about having flaws. Thank you for having flaws, all of my dogs, because how can I challenge me? How can I challenge myself and improve my dogs if they're perfect? I love the flaws on each one of my dogs. And I think that if it's something like that, I'm just so used to dealing with, I don't pay attention anymore. Now, if it's something like, for example, when I went to visit Cat once, Jumanji was in the hospital because he had a spider bite. I think most people know this story. He had a spider bite on his head, and he had a very large surgery, poor boy. And somebody was actually saying that was a lie and he was dead. And then I think Cat came public sometime because people were spreading the word that he was dead. And then that's something that I would probably do too. That was something that if somebody says, oh, her dog died or something like that, a rumor like that, then I would probably come public to express whatever. But other than that, Lauren, no, I don't think it's worth it. Like I said, we don't have time for that. We have to build. We are building something so beautiful,
Gotcha. I'm curious if everybody feels that way. Does everybody feel that way about rumors, addressing rumors? Like I said, I don't necessarily, me personally, I don't think that there's necessarily any harm in certain things. Obviously, if it's a big thing like Jumanji, saying that he's not here anymore or something like that. But if it's something large that could affect you, with sales, with the way that your business works, then I think that it's okay to put it out there one time, but I don't think that you have to keep defending yourself, you know, because it's the internet. Everybody could go look it up and find it. If once it's there, you know. So I'm curious how everybody else sees that. I think that another question that we maybe had was, what makes a breeder seem trustworthy if they're not going to be transparent and tell things? Like, you know what I mean? If somebody has heard this, and this about your kennel, do they ask you? Do they not ask you? Do they go off based off of what they've heard? You know what I mean? If it's something that's detrimental to actually selling puppies or adults yourself, however you want to put that, you know, what makes a breeder trustworthy?
Do you want to say it, Vito? Would you like to give your opinion on that, Vito?
Sure. Like I said, I came up right when the internet, all these message boards and all this stuff. And as a younger guy, I guess, you know, I played into it. I did the dumbest stuff. I answered all that. I fought with people, even to the point where it's had gotten physical. It shows. I've been threatened, all kinds of crap, all kinds of just stupid things. And all I can tell you is, just don't even play into it. It's such a waste. And if you're somebody that has a dog that's the target, just let it go as much as you can. Obviously, if somebody says your dog's dead or says your dog has bad hips or this and that, you know, you can prove it and show that they're liars. I know it sucks because, like I said, by the time somebody spreads a lie about you, it's circled the globe 3 times before you even answer. And it's human nature to believe give shit. I hate to say that, but it's true. People are quicker to believe negative things about someone than they are to believe positive things about someone. It's just kind of human nature. So my advice is no. If you can ignore it, ignore it, because those people are just wanting to suck your energy. They're, you know, they're unhappy. Who knows what? Maybe they're stupid, or their mother drank when she was pregnant with them. I don't know, but now I just look at it. It's like I'm not the asshole whisperer. You know, my whole thing in this breed, in any breed, what I'm doing is not to correct and figure out what somebody's psychosis is, why they're doing something they're doing. It's better to just do your own thing. If you're not getting enough attention for your dog, keep putting it out there, keep working harder. Just make your dog undeniable, and he will. If he's a good dog and you're doing a good job, you know, somebody's going to like him, you know, if that's your aim. It just kind of the way it is. Dog business, people get in, they realize it's a lot of work and they get out, or they get divorced, or they got to move and they can't have as many dogs, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you're constantly getting new guys that come in, and you're right. A lot of times it's guys, new young guys, and they got this hype and all kinds of crazy things they'll say, and I'm an OG and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, okay, well, if you're an OG, where's your dog? You know, you should have a record of producing really good dogs, or dogs, period. But, you know, they're an OG, bought 2 dogs and put them together, and all of a sudden they're attacking. They think if they attack the top dog, that it's going to bring them credibility or attention. And it probably will bring attention, because I guarantee, like I've had message boards forever, and I like the message boards for discussion and trading ideas and showing off your dogs. But what gets the most attention is the drama, all the fighting, all the, you know, people are riveted to that stuff. Like I said, it's like the Jerry Springer show, you know. There's a reason why it was on forever and ever, and still plays rerun. People are intrigued by the trashiness of it or the fighting or whatever. I don't know, but like I said, I am the poster child for doing the wrong thing, and now that I've gotten older, it's just like, and I still, when somebody accuses me of something that I know is not true or tries to paint me or my dog something that's not, you love your dog, especially if you've been breeding them for all these years and you produce something that you're proud of, and then somebody, they're making up a lie, they talk, crap, and they just want to kill that dog's reputation. It pisses you off, and but if you fight with them, it's just, like I said, it's just like stepping into a pile of shit. You're never going to get out of it. It just goes on and on and on. It's, if somebody's a liar, it's hard to be honest and beat them at their own game. The lies, like I said, they circle the earth 3 times before the truth puts their shoes on. So you're better off just avoiding it, ignoring it, and just do your thing. Keep doing your thing. And if you produce a good dog, it's going to get noticed. And if it doesn't get noticed and you love it, who cares? It doesn't matter. I've had tons of dogs. Some of my best dogs, people hate, they hate them because they just look at a picture and they want a giant head or bowed out front end or a certain proportion, but that's not what I was going for. I was going for a working type dog. And they don't see it in the pictures or whatever, but it's just the way it is. But no, I think you're better off ignoring it and just do your own thing. It's always better to be positive.
I agree with you, Vito, 100%. Oscar, would you like to give your 2 cents about hating on internet on other breeders?
Well, I think
did you get a lot of hate, Oscar, since you started? Did you get some hate?
Not really, just love, to be honest. Yeah, I just remember I told you like 2 months ago I went to the vet. He was like 1 hour from here, and it was a guy over there, and I hear backwards, like 20 feet back from me, someone say like Samba. Oh, he's from Samba. And I would turn my face and I say, "Hey, you guys talking about Samba? I'm a CEO of Samba, Florida." They were like, "Oh,
good."
Yes, and they were so excited, and they were like, "Look at my dogs, and what do you think?" And they were so excited, and I haven't get any hate from anybody so far. And to be honest, I'm not really into social media. I'm the kind of person that do my post and don't read comments and don't read what people do or noise. I only see views and how my post is doing to see what should I keep doing on the next post. And I don't do Photoshop or edit my dogs or anything like that. So whoever come and say my puppies or something like that looks like it's Photoshop, I don't even gonna waste my time answering because they're not. So on the other side, I think in business, I don't know how to say this in English, but it's like no matter what people say, the important thing is that people are talking about you. No matter if it's good or if it's bad, there is not a bad promotion. I guess that's the way to say it in English. There is not a bad marketing. It's just marketing. If they're talking, they're talking. We're doing a good job. That's it.
Good.
That's what I would say.
Very good. Lauren?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you read these messages for us? Your English is better than mine, and they're very long.
You're talking about the ones that are on the Facebook and stuff? Yes. Okay, so he said, let me go to the whole one. It says, I know in the USA, people love their bulls to be big and fat. The heavier, the better. But the Brazilian bulls are built different. That's why I love Brazilian bulls. Shout out to Samba Kennels and them boys from Brazil. I know a lot of people in Australia just buy dogs from different breeders and match them together, but they're really diluting the blood from outcrossing a lot. They don't really lack in a look. Also, too, we need more ABKC shows in Australia. I haven't seen any champions. And then under that, Savannah Vargas said, I do my best to always stay true to my heart and put myself in the family's shoes, treat them and give them the experience that I would personally appreciate and reciprocate well. As long as I'm always doing that, my husband and I have agreed to just let people say what they are going to say and not give it the time of day. He always tells me we are no longer in high school. We are adults and we need to act like it. Rumors are for high school.
Shout out to Savannah Vargas and her husband. Very good, very thoughtful. What is your kennel name, Savannah? If you don't mind us promoting here, let's promote your kennel. I like that. And thank you, Keanu, also from Australia, for the thoughts. I agree with both of you. And talking about building, you know, when I said that we are building, we have some great news for everybody worldwide. A lot of people have been waiting for this and asking me. And we have, I don't have the numbers updated here yet, totals. But this week, I only did one post about, and this is when we say that we are building, that's what we are doing. We are going to be the base of the Brazilian bulls in each country. We're going to have a Samba Kennels dedicated to each country, and through breeders that are applying with us. And there's an application form, there's going to be a process, and of course we're all going to decide together. If there's more than one breeder, we're going to be deciding together who is going to meet the criteria to represent Samba Kennels in their country. We have, can I read it here, Lauren? The countries that we have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let me clean my glasses because I can't read it and it's hot in here and I'm sweaty. Okay, we got Zimbabwe applicant. Thank you so much. I could never imagine that somebody from Zimbabwe wanted to be Samba Kennels, a breeder in Zimbabwe. I will not remember all their names here. We do have a spreadsheet, but I'm just going to say the countries, okay? We have 2 breeders in Spain. We have 2 breeders in South Africa. We have 3 breeders in Germany. We have 1 in France, 1 in Italy, 3 in New Zealand, 4 in Australia, 1 in Cuba, 1 in Aruba, 3 in Mexico, 1 in Poland, 1 in Lebanon, 1 in Trinidad and Tobago, 1 in the Philippines, 1 in Sweden, 1 in Guyana, 1 in Pakistan, and 1 in the Caspian Sea. Guys, this is so amazing. Imagine that I would be worried about people talking about our program on Facebook, and I have this much work to work for and to work towards. We're going to be placing Brazilian bulls in all of these countries, or hopefully most of these countries. Of course, not everybody's going to be accepted just because they applied. There's a process. But this is huge. I don't think anybody has ever built this. And we're doing this not only for the Samba, like I said, not only for the Samba brand. This is for Brazilian bulls. We want to be able to also help these breeders, because these are people that want to breed Brazilian bulls in their country. They're going to be the first ones in these countries to own Brazilian bulls. We're going to provide them with the bitches and the studs. We're going to provide them with the dogs, but we are also going to provide with the most important thing. And Oscar can agree with you guys, and I'm sure everybody else here can. We're going to be providing them with a system that works for the breed, with the history, with the access for the registration, with all the tricks on how to breed these dogs to make sure that they get the best results, with all the genetic testing that they have to do with the, and we have also breeders that are not because you don't have to be a breeder to be a part of this, because we are going to guide you like I guided Oscar in his first litter. You just have to want, you have to have the passion for dogs, and you have to love this breed. We will guide you on, it doesn't mean just because you have already 20 years experience doesn't mean that you're a better breeder than somebody that's just starting, that we can develop. So this is for everybody, but the most important thing is for the breed. Imagine that we are going to have Brazilian bulls by next year in each one of these countries. For us, this is amazing, and having the opportunity to help these people and to guide them and to work with them, and they are already halfway on success than if they were to start on their own. And also, they're going to spend a lot less money because we're going to help them save money, right? That's it, you guys. Lauren is the one that's taking care of the applications for me. So if you guys are interested, please send us a message on contact@sambakennels.com for now, and then we will definitely have Lauren contact you with the next steps, okay?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say, Lauren?
Real
Yes.
quick before we get off completely and start signing off, there was a question on my Instagram, the Samba South Instagram, that somebody had asked, and obviously you can't see it because it's not on yours, but just real quickly, he wants to know what the most important thing is when it comes to promoting a stud, aside from, what did he say? Aside from pictures, what would you say is the most important thing?
Aside from the image, I wouldn't say just pictures, but the image as a whole is the truth, is to promote the dog for what he is. It doesn't matter how good you are with pictures and angles. I would never promote a dog that I don't truly love. I will never promote a dog that, no matter how beautiful he is, he's aggressive towards humans, or he has a temperament issue, or he has a health issue. So first thing first, be truthful with your program and with your clients. First, find a dog that you really trust, that you know that dog deserves to be the foundation of others' program. And that's the most important thing. That's the core thing of doing anything in dog breeding, not just for males, but also for females, And then the rest, the strategies, the marketing, the videos, the pictures, that's secondary. It's very important, but it's secondary. You gotta love that dog. You gotta know that dog is valuable to be foundational for other people. If you don't have that trust, or if you have any doubts about it, don't even offer him for stud, because not every dog is supposed to be a stud, you guys. I know it's very tempting to have males and to think that they're going to be studs, but it takes more than a pretty structure or a big heavy dog, especially in this world that everybody loves 150 pounds dog or 200-pound dogs. That means nothing for me. My Puma is at probably 110 pounds right now, and he's one of the most exotic looking and incredibly looking dogs that I've ever seen. Tractor doesn't have a wow factor. He's not photogenic, but he's the dog that everyone that comes here, they come here to see clowns, they come here to see Shake, they come here to see Puma, but when they see Tractor, they just go like this. They say, wow, he's amazing. He's not photogenic. It's the kind of dog that you have to put your hands on. You have to see it in person. So I think that the first things first, you have to really believe that dog is worthy sharing to other programs. And after that, it's all business. Did I answer your question?
I think that you answered it. maybe we can do a live specific to that one of these days, you know, and have more tips and stuff.
I
That
have a lot to talk about studs, Lauren. Yeah,
absolutely,
that's a
oh,
great idea.
I know.
That's a great topic. Hey, New Jersey Bulls, and in Instagram, New Jersey Bulls, they just switched. Well, no, they didn't switch, but they added Brazilian Bulls to their program. And
You mute yourself. You mute. You mute. You mute. You mute yourself, Audia.
from New Jersey Bulls, they just added Brazilian Bulls to their program. They are also XL breeders. Thanks for joining in. I just tagged him here on Instagram. Sorry, I muted myself.
Yeah, I seen. I don't. You probably seen where Savannah was answered your question. She's from Napa Valley Bullies. They have Krampus.
Oh, that's Krampus. That's right, a Clausen. Krampus is the dog that is most similar to Klaus, I think, that he has produced. Well, Klaus has produced a lot of little Klaus. He has produced a lot of mini Klauses. I do believe that Klaus produced better females than he has produced males. But Krampus is one of the dogs that you cannot forget because he is the clone of Klaus. Of course, there's differences here and there, but he's very nice. I remember you now, Savannah. Napa Valley Bullies. You guys go follow them.
So I, you know, or Lauren asked you a question about, what somebody had asked her. I want to ask you a question too, about, so we have a little bit of experience, and you have years and years of it. What would you recommend, or what do you have suggest wise to new breeders that are trying to get started and are getting negative feedback about maybe their dogs, or maybe about their kennels, or maybe about that could be rumors that people are starting out there about their kennels or about them and their dogs? What can you
I
do?
think that the advice that I have for new breeders tonight is more about in general than actually about rumors, because the first thing that I would say, don't care about it. If you do your work with respect for the dogs, with hygiene, with protocols of health and protocols of dog management, like if you have your routine, you give them what they need. You're not going to overbreed the females. You're not going to expose your dogs to, all the basics. If you do everything with a bare minimum of respect for your business, for your dogs, for your clients, you don't have to worry about any of that, because anything that they try to say about you is bullshit. It's what happened to me. Nobody could ever talk shit about my dogs or about how I breed my dogs and mind you, I have a nice setup now because I invested almost everything that I made back into my dog setup. But when I moved here, I had retriever kennels outdoors. I had 5 retriever kennels outdoors. That's how I started. And when it was really hot, I had a shed in here in the ranch. We have a shed, and I had an AC unit there. If it was really hot, I would just put my dogs in crates and leave them there all day, and then they would go back to the kennels at night. If there's a will, there's a way. Just be honest and truthful to your dogs and respect them. Now, the main practical advice that I want to give, not just the new breeders, but everybody that's trying to avoid gambling, buy older puppies. Buy older puppies. Don't get these. I'm not gonna say that having the first and the second pick, for me, this is a status kind of situation more than a breeder's mindset. It's an American way of thinking. When I came here, I never sold my puppies Dogo Argentino by picks. I know it makes sense for pet owners, or if you have a very high waiting list. But at the end of the day, I don't like the pick system. I'm going to be very honest with you. I have pick system because my market demands that I have pick system. But I also select 2 or 3 first picks that I don't sell, and I let them grow, because these are the puppies that I have now that I want to sell them to the right breeders. Because guys, when you're getting a puppy, you're getting a gamble. You have no idea. It could be from the best 2 great grand champions. It doesn't mean that the dog is going to be good, because every litter you have about 20 to 30% of excellent dogs. You're going to have 20 to 30% about pet dogs, and you have a mediocre line there of mediocre dogs. When I say mediocre, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying that they are in the mid range. They can be, average. So if you want to start right from the get-go. Don't buy young puppies. Wait until they're a little older. The only young puppies that you should be investing on is in your own puppies. I have 3 picks from Cafeína and Mombrusos, and they're all with the family. One has Vito, I have another one, and Tony and Didi has another one. And I wasn't going to sell one, but I was offered so much money for that black boy that I had to sell it. I sold it for $20K, the black puppy, just recently. I have no problem in saying how much money I sold my dogs for, because this is motivating for you. Mind you, I'm the Brazilian older woman that got here with English as second language, full of grammar mistakes and phonetic mistakes, that came here in 6 years. I am the one selling puppies to this day for 20s, 15s, and I sold the most expensive dog in the last decade that I thought of. I did it. So if I can do it, imagine you're in America, you speak fluent English. Why can't you do it? Why can't you build something better than I am building? But buying puppies is like wasting time. You have to, I do believe that it's important that if you can get, like I said, sometimes we have a waiting list. Sometimes I sell my puppies before they're even born. And then makes sense to have a waiting list and people buying puppies, because they need to get a hold of that bloodline independently of the pick. Now, of course, if I have a choice to buy a puppy, I'm going to buy the older, the better. And this is why I am very, I love saving puppies until they are a little older. And I actually try to not sell them. I prefer to sell them, ask a lot of money so they don't sell. So I keep them here longer. And then I know which ones are going to really stay in the program. And I can actually forward them with more confidence to another program. Even if I lower the price a little bit, especially now, we know that the market is very bad right now. I think Samba Kennels is one of the only programs is still selling puppies that are very high, but it has dropped. So don't you get desperate if you are over there struggling to sell, because even Samba is struggling to sell puppies to everybody. But just happens that when we sell them, we sell the 20K ones, we sell the 15K ones. Oscar, we sold 2 first picks to another country for almost 40K, both of them. So,
and when we sell fast. Remember 3 weeks ago, we
3
sold
weeks.
4 in 1 week.
Yes. So I guess it's more about believing what you're doing, and new breeders or older breeders, because I know that there's a lot of people that must be struggling right now. Even though we are selling less, I promise you guys, I have probably at least, and there's some that I don't even see because I don't look at all my social media, but we have at least 20 emails coming, or messages, or or even the ones that, not even counting the ones that I don't answer, the ones that says how much, because if you come to me and you say how much on my picture, I'm not even going to answer you. First, I would like to say, hello, good morning, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Let's approach each other with a little bit of respect. Hi, how are you? I love your puppies. Can I get some more information? And don't tell me how much, because I'm not going to answer you. I don't need you. I don't need you to have, my dogs don't need to go to a place where the person cannot even be polite to the other side of the line. Internet has making people very rude, recently. Hello, good morning. Hi, good evening. How are you? How are you today? May I ask you a question? Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I'll get back to you. Hey, or I cannot do it right now. I'll come back later, or I found another place. Let's be respectful to each other. And this is how I am, and this is how my team members are, because if they weren't like this, they wouldn't be with us. This is why we are at where we are. This is why people keep coming back to us. So if you want to sell $20,000 puppies like we do, start being very polite to your clients. Very polite. Have respect towards them, because I see a lot of people come back to me and talk about other breeders, and I don't even want to listen, but they say, hey, I call that guy, but he's so rude. Like I really like their dogs and they have good prices, but he's so rude. I'm not doing business with him. That happens all the time. Let's read here. Matrix, make sure when you're selling puppy males that both testicles on that male puppy has descended and they're not crypto. Well, definitely. And this is something that I do. I don't send a male puppy without checking. That's the breeder's responsibility, because sometimes the buyers are not going to have the knowledge to do that. And if you're a breeder, of course, you have to test, you have to check. But the breeder that's selling the puppy should check. I check my puppy since they're 45 days. I start checking them. Wow, that's exactly how we started. Sheds, AC, avoiding the heat, switching inside and outside all day long. The whole nine. I'll never forget those days. Have a fabulous night, Samba Kennels. Thank you. Thank you, Savannah. Yeah, that's it. I do like the fact that the Brazilian bulls are very athletic, and they are very heat tolerant. I think that's the word. My puppies are all outside, and they are super happy about it. Even though I still watch the temperature all the time, but they're not panting. They have plenty of water. They are, they have a lot of shade, but I love to have the puppies after they're 3 months old, starting them to get acclimated to the heat, because they're going to be healthier adults. Do you agree with that, Vito?
Oh yeah. I'm kind of sensitive to breathing because I dealt with it with American Bulldog, bully type American Bulldogs. That's the number one issue with the breed. People get dogs and they breathe so bad because they have a soft palate or a small trachea or pinched nares. And, people, a lot of them snort, when they have like a 1 inch or 2 inch muzzle and a big head and they're big dogs, they sound like an English Bulldog. They're, well, people are just used to it. And they don't realize the dog can't breathe. As soon as he gets a little hot, their throat kind of shuts. And they put him back in the crate after a walk and go run errands and then come back and he's dead. So I will say, I don't think it's a major thing yet, but I've seen some Brazilian dogs and some XLs, but I'm more sensitive to the Brazilian dogs. Not many, just 1 or 2. And I hope it's not a trend, but I'm like, God, they have just the most extreme short muzzle and they have kind of the brachycephalic head. And I don't think they're really supposed to have that. They're supposed to have kind of a caricature of a pit bull head. That's why I've told you before, one of my favorite muzzles of all your dogs is Klaus. He just has a Cadillac muzzle and it's big,
yes.
And it's wide.
And he's the healthiest dog I have.
Yeah, I just hope these don't turn into giant oldies like the American Bulldogs have, I like them because they have a nice voluminous upper muzzle, and there's not a lot of them I've ever seen that have that raspy breathing, I'm sure if you get them hot, maybe they will, but I haven't heard any that have really, really bad breathing. where it's very common in American bulldogs now. It wasn't when I started, but people love that bully face, that smashed in muzzle, the wrinkles, the cute little fat squishy puppies, but they grew up to have problems. It's like I tell people, how would you like to be a 200-pound guy in the heat and you could only breathe through a straw, and you're a hyperactive nut job and you won't sit down, you play, you're going to overheat and die. And we don't want that in this breed. Most of the Brazilian dogs I've seen don't quite have the crazy prey drive. They have a little more common sense. They'll chill out. But when I'm home, and even when I'm not home, I'll keep 2 of them outside, but I have a deck that has a big high velocity fan blowing all the time right in front of my door to keep flies out when I go in and out. And it keeps the dogs, they'll camp underneath it and just relax. But it's not weird. A week or so ago, we had like 110 heat index, and I'd do errands, I'd do a job and come back, and I'd have Millie, my shake daughter, and Ella, my tractor daughter, and they're just sitting there, not panting or anything, but they're not doing anything. They're just laying on the thing. But still, that a lot of dogs with a really smashed in face, real short muzzles, and if they're 100-pound dog, they have to pant. That's how dogs perspire through their mouth. They don't sweat through their skin. And a lot of the Brazilian dogs, they don't have to pant a hole really bad. They have a very efficient muzzle. That's what I like. I like
what's funny?
Without a
I am not very familiar with these problems because throughout my life, my experiences with Dogo Argentino Vito. But let me ask you something. Dogs with elongated palates are the ones that make that noise, right? Like a pig, correct?
Yeah, it's a condition called BAS, brachycephalic airway syndrome. So it's the worst part is not only do they have a small trachea, so the hole they breathe through is smaller, and the roof of their mouth, especially in males, they'll grow fat. Like a guy that snores, their palate, it'll hang down over that hole. So when they're trying to breathe, and then their nose is smashed in, all the nasal part is smashed in, and I don't know why, their nostrils will be pinched. If you look at some dogs, they just have little slits instead of a nice big nostril that sucks in air. So dogs have to have that to cool their body. So you have a bulldog that's got, twice the proportionate size and muscle and thickness. So it should have twice the airflow, but it doesn't. And
now let me ask you something.
A high drive dog, it's disaster.
Let me ask you something. I want to give you guys an example. Let me say something here. Let me see if I can show you this. Just a second. I have a dog, Klaus' sister, Hannah. She is 6 years old. She's a tank. She's probably like the Chinese wanted to buy her too. He can't see my dogs and he comes after them trying to make them offers. And I said, Hannah is not for sale. She is a sweet girl. She is just she's old. She already had 3 litters. And let me try to show you guys a picture of her here. Let me see. I want to illustrate this to see. Share screen. There's no audio, so we're not going to have a problem. Okay. Okay. All right. You see her here?
Yeah.
Okay. You see she has a pretty long snout. And she has elongated palate, okay? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
a lot of
Hannah.
times it
She's
doesn't
thick.
matter.
She has long snout, and she has a elongated palate. But the funny thing is, she makes noises like she will be very. She snores a lot, I would say, you know. But if she's in the sun, she's extremely like she will get hot, and I avoid, of course. But she will, at one point, she's just gonna lay there. Like I was playing with the dogs today and I had the hose and it was really hot. It was like 90 degrees, but they were playing in the dog park and I was making sure that they were wet and the grass was wet, and I let Hannah out. And she stayed there and she was snoring a little bit, and then all of a sudden she sat down and she stayed and she stopped snoring. And I said, "Look at her. With all that breathing, that it seems like it's a breathing problem, but it's just like she's so resistant. She's so tolerant, even though she has snoring issues, you know?" So what do you think it could be, Vito?
Well, like I said, it's three things. You can have a small trachea, which that's the worst thing, and you don't necessarily that's not necessarily tied to the palate. The palate is
Mm-hmm.
just fat that hangs down at the back of the roof of their mouth that can partially cover the trachea hole. So as they breathe,
Mm-hmm.
it rattles. So you can have a big trachea and still have the rattle, have the noise. You can also have a longer muzzle and have narrow nostril holes and a small trachea and a soft palate. It's not just with the because when in American bulldogs, like you said, you don't have that in doggos because a doggo is a running catch dog. They're bred to have a long muzzle and a big hammer head. That's how the standard side. There's two types of American bulldogs. The standard type looks more like a doggo, pit bull, hound, and the bully type had English bulldog added and mastiff. So that breeder was trying to make a giant English bulldog or a giant bulldoggy looking dog, and some of them are great. Some of them can do all kinds of stuff, but a lot of them take on the same traits because, like in the 90s, everybody wanted those dogs to look like the American bulldogs that were just one or two generations off the English bulldog cross. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at American bulldogs, the bully ones, they're all about 25% that English bulldog. And of course, people have secretly put more Old English and more bulldog in there, and probably Dog de Bordeaux and Bull Mastiff or who knows what. But the big thing is everybody selected because they all wanted that short muzzle. They didn't want a long muzzle. They didn't. It's a weird breed. There's two different types that are very very different. So the problem is you get a dog that's bully that has a short muzzle, the small trachea, the flabby roof of their mouth, their palate's obstructing their breathing, but they have the drive of a high drive hunting dog, and so that's a lethal combination. And I don't know what it is. The English bulldog, I think, is the culprit, but they have no common sense. Like they'll get overheated, but they won't stop. Their eyes are bugging out. They're nuts. You got to take a hose and cool them down, and you know. Whereas these dogs, they're based off of the pit bull, and even show pit bulls they rarely have soft palates and rarely have small trachea or pinch nares. So, but all that needs to happen is for the whole trend of everybody like, oh, did you see that wrinkly face? I like that, man. And I like that 2.5 inch muzzle or 2 inch muzzle or a 1 inch muzzle. And then you keep breeding for that. Well, then you're gonna summons up all the traits from the English bulldog. And I think American bullies and Brazilians, the percentage of English is a lot lower because they have American bulldog in them, but it's not 100% American bulldog. So they may only be like
Yeah.
a small, tiny percentage.
And this is why this
But it's
mix
collecting
of
those
the
traits the
terrier,
problems too.
um, this is why we would, you know, when they used the terriers and then they added the bulldogs to counterbalance a few traits, that's really I think it's a perfect
Well,
combination,
I can
you
see it
know.
in the American bullies. I think on Sumo Bully Live they were talking about. I don't know the dog's name, but I guess he won. He was a pocket that won on the nationals one year, and he just died. He was going in for palate surgery. But I don't see it in the XLs, but I see it in the pockets a whole lot compared to 15 years ago. They've changed to me. They really take on a lot of English bulldog traits: the long body, the wrinkles, the super short legs, and that I don't think people went out and bred more English bulldog, and I just think they selected for those traits, that look, and it's going to get
Yeah.
worse. I mean, unless somebody corrects it. Matter of fact, there's what is the other podcast I listen to? We listen to sometimes on Tuesday nights, Bully Talk, Bully
Oh yeah, I
Talk
love that
Live.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. Yeah, a couple weeks or months ago, maybe it was. They had a guy that is a real OG. He had Suarez. I think his last name was Suarez, and he had a dog named Paco that was a grand champion pocket from like 20 years ago. And he's always had nice dogs. And I was listening to the podcast. The guy's really knowledgeable, and he said exactly what I was thinking after I left the Nationals. He said, "Our breed has taken on too many bulldog traits. We've lost some dogs. We've lost the essence of what they used to be." And they said, "What do you think you need to do to fix it?" And he was. I thought that's what he said. I'm not quoting him exactly, but I thought he said, uh, maybe we need to put Staffy Bull or Amstaff show type dogs, just in to correct that. And I thought, bingo, that's the way you need to think when you're starting out with a new breed. But unfortunately, people like, oh no, my dogs are pure. We're not crossing anything, and they're pure. Well, if they fall over dead or they have problems, they're unhealthy. Who cares? But if you call that pure, I call that sick, troubled. You know.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people don't think that kind of stuff is a problem. There's people that have owned English bulldogs, and they're like, oh, they're just like that. Oh, oh, he just lays under on the air conditioner vent all day, or he's got such a bad thyroid. He's 25 pounds overweight, or yeah, he's bald. The vet says, we have to up his dosage or something. It's like, God, why would you purposely want to produce a dog that's just suffers? Just think of how unhappy or how uncomfortable you'd be walking around when it's 70 degrees out and you can't breathe, man. You're like a fat sausage and you can't take in enough air. I had a guy years ago that was going in for that surgery, for the palate surgery on a real famous bully dog that he had off a real famous stud. And the vet told him, I don't think it'll do any good. We just x-rayed, his lungs are scarred. And I said, scarred? Why would his lungs be scarred? He goes, from all the belated breathing, all that breathing in, somehow it scars the
Wow.
tissue in his throat and it scars the lungs. So people, we select these dogs. We're the God that selects these dogs. And sometimes I don't think we think of the repercussions. But Frenchies, I mean, English, there's a lot of breeds that are they just live with all the problems. They just, oh, that's normal. My dog only lived to be 3 and he fell over dead, Well, that shouldn't be normal. That's what you should
Fido, let
breed
me
for.
read Matrix, and he says, so let me ask you, what would you do if you bought a high value puppy from a breeder who did not disclose he only had one testicle and you had to find out from your vet? Well, first, you don't have to find out from your vet, Matrix, because some testicles will only descend after 6 months. I have seen dogs descending from 6 months. Well, the breeder should have told you, absolutely should have told you. And there's many situations, right? How do I treat my dogs? I always check the ones that are coming out from here, of course. I always check, and I always guide everyone that works with me and and the people that are breeding. Sometimes they ask me, this is one of the things that I always say, check them before you let them go. Now, if there is one missing and they didn't catch on it, the breeder didn't catch on it, first you have to check to see if there is one testicle and it's recluded in there. I don't know if that's retracted in there. I have seen also dogs,
Retained.
and this is yes,
Yeah,
retained.
they retain them.
And it's very important what I'm going to tell you right now, Matrix, because this has happened in Dogo Argentino a lot because it's a very hyper breed. I have seen puppies that will drop both testicles, and under stress, they can retract. Okay, one or both, but they are there. Now, one thing is there being there, and another thing is there. It's very rare, but I have seen it in 20 years. I have seen once a puppy. It was actually one of my Dogo puppies that he suffered so much stress for situations that it's not relevant that one of the testicles retracted. Have you ever seen that, Vito?
I have, yeah. I think I wouldn't say it, but I want in defense of the breeder. Sometimes when you get a 6-week, 7-week, 8-week-old, puppy, and you got banana fingers like me, it's really hard to figure. I always try to feel for it, but sometimes I have to get like a woman with the smaller fingers to help me figure it out. Maybe that's why I love a puppy that's got big balls that hang down like Flex. Flex has got some big plums. I'm very proud of his testicles.
Yes, but I have seen it retracted, but it's not usual. It's not usual.
I've heard of it before. And some people say it could be the testicle wasn't fully descended, and maybe you picked the puppy up weird and it got sucked up into the dog or something. But
again, let's answer his question before blaming the breeder. Like I said, depending on how old the puppy was when you got it, depending on the breeder, maybe the breeder didn't, like I said, could have checked it, could have not checked it, and depending on how old it was. But the problem is not having problems, because every breeder has problems. I always say it's how we deal with the problems. And I'm sure that if you paid a high dollar puppy with breeding rights, which is probably the case, and you bought a puppy that was still in the age of something happening, and that's not only just the testicles, it could have happened anything. You could develop something else that it doesn't make the dog breedable. I think the most important thing is for you to dialogue with your breeder as an adult, as a professional, and try to get into the terms that are reasonable for both of you, because it is frustrating, of course. And this is why I say getting older puppies, it's less than a gamble. So the mindset of a breeder should be always to get an older puppy and make sure that everything is okay. And also you shouldn't have to depend on a vet to check that there's two testicles. The first thing that I do when the dog comes to me is I'm going to make sure that there is both testicles. And I'm not criticizing what you're saying, but you have probably in your contract a period that you have to complain about whatever, and let's see here. He just answered. Well, the scenario here is that someone bought a high value puppy, picked him up one day. It was their first puppy. They didn't know to check. That's fine. Took the puppy to the vet, and the next day he was informed. Again, the main thing is talk to the breeder and try to get into an agreement, because that's the most important thing. Problems we can have, it doesn't matter if it was, not seen by the breeder or or if it was found on the same date or the day before or the day after, or if it was a problem that happened within the first 6 months of the life of the puppy or even the year. It's about understanding that when you're buying a puppy, you're also buying risks, more risks than this. Is why I always say the older the puppy, the better. And in your case or in your friend's case, getting in touch with the breeder and saying, hey, I bought a puppy that it was 8 weeks. Yes, 8 weeks is still young enough for not having the 2 testicles. But if it's me, I would have noticed at 8 weeks. And I would have told, I wouldn't, of course, have that puppy sold with breeding rights unless I tell you it doesn't have. I had one puppy that I sold without breeding rights for half of the price because they wanted that puppy. But I told them and I said, there's only one testicle. And if the testicle drops, then I will give you breeding rights and you pay me the other half. If not, would you be okay to keep him as a pet? Oh, yes, we love him and we're not really willing to breed him, but we would keep him. So this is how I deal my business. And I think that any breeder that cares for their reputation and their clients and the program will accept to. But of course, that's when the other part has to also understand that if it happened to me, for example, and I offer you a replacement puppy, you're either going to give me that puppy back, or of course, because of attachment and all of that, I'm going to make you neuter that puppy because it's actually better for him, because I've seen people requesting to be reimbursed with other puppies, but they also are using the dog that supposedly had problems, so it has to be both ways and common sense. Who is this? Tony Cervantes. Hey, Tony. If you catch it early, you can make a drop, I believe. It depends. It depends. Yes, Vito.
Can you hear me? Oh, I was going to say, 27 years ago, I guess, I had a dog I produced, and his testicles didn't drop. I didn't think I felt him, and then so I brought him in, and my vet's like, well, I can't say it's 100%, but we have these, I can't remember what they gave him. It was a shot. I remember I took him in for 2 weeks, and it did drop. No, it took him in for 2 weeks, and it didn't drop, but like a week or two later, it dropped. Sometimes, an 8-week-old puppy, you can only feel one, and it will drop natural. But this was like an extra shot. And he turned out to be a pretty good producer, and I didn't have problems with that, him producing one testicle. But, a lot of these things I always try to look for some kind of a scientific study, and there's no such thing. I can't say that breeding a dog with one testicle is ethical. I can't say it's not ethical because there's no study. I don't know. I don't know if they're just as likely to produce it or not produce it as their litter mates. It's something that happens. It's not that they have one testicle, it's that they have one in their belly. It's stuck somewhere. And as puppies develop, their testicles are kind of in their stomach. And then as they mature and get older and they're born, they're supposed to migrate to their position. Both of them drop, some of them only one drops, and it'll drop later. But yeah, there's some, I don't know what it is they give them.
There's surgery.
I can't remember.
There is a surgery to drop it, because sometimes for some reason, for some anatomical reasons, it won't drop. There's also hormones that you can use throughout, the first couple of months, but after a certain age, it will not work. And sometimes it doesn't work, from what I heard. And I have a very particular opinion on that. If the dog is outstanding, I will not care for the one testicle. It's something that can pass along, yes, but this is a trait that can be passed along with tons of generations of both testicle dogs too, and then you are only looking at it's like the flaws that we were talking about, you know. And like Vito said, there's no factual literature that will prove that this is really as bad as people seem to be, you know. Of course, the idea is not to breed a dog that has only one testicle, but if the dog is outstanding and he has much more things to offer than to take away, and mind you, most of the times, it will pass that trait eventually to a small percentage of the puppies, but most of the time it will produce puppies with both testicles, and these puppies will keep producing with both testicles. But is it something worth disqualifying a dog like Big John, for example, with all the qualities that that dog has to offer, all that mass, all that bone, all that head, all that breed type to the Brazilian bull breed, just because the dog doesn't have a testicle? Now, I am totally against showing, and I told that to my friend Alonso. I'm against showing because this is a different situation. You only show the best of the best. But when it comes to your foundation, I am very prone to using flawed dogs that will add to the foundation than just to cutting them. I'd rather have a freak with flaws, let's put it that way, than have a clean, correct show dog that's not going to add, you know. I prefer working with correct females and freaky dogs. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, every dog's going to have some kind of flaw. The flaw with one testicle is when they get older, that one testicle could get cancerous if it never drops. But as far as hereditary stuff, I imagine it's probably, you know, predisposed to produce more pups like that. But I don't think there's any study that's shown it. And there's no.
Yes, Tony. His daughters, his Big John daughters even have two balls.
Yeah, like I said, they have two testicles, just they're not descended. And it's not like the dog's going to walk around suffering and he's in pain and he's going to fall over dead from it. The only bad thing is when they're older, you know, they could get cancer from it, but they can get cancer from anything really. So I would wait a little bit, talk to the breeder, and you know, that kind of stuff happens. You pay a lot of money for a puppy and people automatically are like, he knew this. He knew that he's just trying to pass on this puppy. But if you usually approach the breeder and you got a pretty good breeder, like, I don't want to sell anybody a dog, especially for a lot of money. I want it to be a freaking superstar. I want him to enjoy the dog. If he's going to show it or work it, I want it to work out. So unless you're just a total creep, I would guess.
Yeah, you would hope so.
And you might want to see about that shot. If he's still young, he may be able to drop his testicle. And but like I said, I think it's hereditary to a point, but I don't know if breeding a stud without a descended testicle is. I mean, he may have a cousin that's bred the same way with two testicles, and he may produce more dogs with undescended testicles than the one that has an undescended testicle. So
yeah, there you go, Matrix. That's the answer to your messages here. You know, this is, as you know, we are also disqualified from ABKC shows. They corrected here, ABKC. Well, not really, because that's the thing. If you put a dog with that kind of flaw, you're also putting the reputation of the judge in the game, you know, if they don't catch it. And sometimes the judge is just going to love the dog so much that's going to give a best in show. And that's what happened to Big John. He got a best in show by a judge that didn't care for that flaw and loved the dog so much that gave him the best in show. You know, like he would have been the perfect dog if he had two testicles. But that's a little beyond. I mean, I am not a by the book breeder. I'm never going to be. Maybe people call me crazy, call me whatever you want. I think Vito is also like that. And this is very controversial topic, but sometimes we have to to see breeding beyond the books and beyond the rules, because there's a lot more to breeding than what is written in the internet or in the books. A lot of people portray themselves to be breeding genius because they read and they reproduce everything on their pages, but they can't go beyond and think ahead and think, and if there is a reason that I have 30 and plus grand champions in Dogo Argentino, is because me and my partner, we always thought beyond the books. We used dogs that other people would have cold, I mean it. And they produce champions in first and second generation. And a lot of people, I think somebody asked on your video, on your Brazilian Bull Nation group, Facebook group chat today, what are the traits for a stud? And you said production. But I think that wow factor is first. Health and that was my answer, health and temperament. And production, not only in first, but some dogs will show their production power in the second generation. And if you rewind my lifetime in my social media and you watch my lives in September 2022, when I brought Mr. Klaus to the game, I told that to Sumo when I was in his lives. I told that to some guys on the realest lives for American Bully XLs. I always said that. I will bring it back here so you see that I wasn't lying. I said, Klaus might not be the best producer in first generation, but his grandkids are going to be the ones. He's going to show, because a dog can also show the producing power. The genes, when they skip a generation, they actually produce even better or even worse, whatever. But in his case, I knew that he was going to produce better in the second generation once we line bred him to either one or the other side. And look what happened with Sultan when we bred his daughter Tetra to Shake. Of course, Shake is a great producer, but there's also a lot of Klaus genes here. And everybody laughed at me because Klaus had a little bit of a higher rear. He's a little east west, but I select the female right, and then those puppies are producing amazing. So always look. If you're by the book, all you see is the first generation. What about the second generation? What is that dog passing along? That's pinching the bubble, that's going through the bubble. I don't know how to say that in English, but you understand what I mean, Vito? Do you have a more technical explanation for this production power?
I think in this breed, and I think when you're starting out, you look at this crazy breed, a beautiful breed banner, this dog that's so beautiful in pictures, and you're just looking at the picture of the dog. But I can tell you from experience, my best producing dog, best stud, every time I bred him, it didn't matter if I bred him to an ugly bitch, a long muzzled bitch, whatever, he threw fire. Better than himself, and qualities that you just don't come across very often. And he himself, he was an okay dog. He was a good dog, but he wasn't a showstopper. He wasn't the dog everybody's just going to flip out over. He wasn't that big. He was only like 88 pounds. But every time that sucker crawled on top of a female, he produced magic. It was crazy. And with females too, I've had females that I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to breed this monster. She's awesome. She's this, she's that. And then I breed her and it's like, nothing really fantastic came from it. Then I bred her cousin, who's ugly. Somebody I sold the dog to, it didn't turn out to my liking. And we breed it, and oh my God, it's the kind of dog that people are begging you for repeat breedings because it clicked. Everything was so awesome. So, there's a lot to it. That's why when I say, what's the thing you look at? I look at production, because in the end, that's my goal. I want to produce. And if you have a good producing stud or a good producing bitch, that's gold. That's it. That's more important than a Schutzen title, 3, a grand champion, supersonic champion title or whatever. those things are titles, they're good, but that doesn't mean your dog's going to produce good. And a good producer, if you're trying to produce fantastic dogs, there's nothing better. A bitch or a stud. If you got a bitch, I got a friend in Australia, and he had this female. When I looked at her pedigree, I would have thought, oh, yeah. But I mean, every time she was bred to like 3 different males. She didn't throw just good dogs. She threw, I mean, jaw-dropping stuff. And with 3 different males, it had nothing to do with her. Nothing to do with each other. Totally different breedings. So, yeah, that's the name of the game, is producing something awesome. And some people are like, oh, yeah, but she's ugly. Nobody's going to want puppies from her. But, yeah, show 1 litter of puppies that's good. That's what I've found. Some people, they see a combination that worked, and they want you to repeat that breeding. And I know people have done the same breeding 4 times. I had one of my best producing litters. I sold the female, and then that person bred her the same exact way. And that person sold her for even more money to like his good friend. And then that guy did the breeding again. And all 3 of the litters, the puppies weren't clones, but they were all super high quality. Mother was good, but she wasn't like, oh my God, I got to have a puppy from her, but she produced fire. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Guys,
I'd rather have a dog that's really good to produce than
thank you, Vito.
one dog I bought from somebody else that's good.
Thank you, Vito. We've been 2 hours and 11 minutes. We're super late to close the live now. Appreciate everybody. Matrix asking here, last question. What do you do when you can't get into a resolution with the breeder? Dude, I'm sorry, but you have to go check your contract, and it's common sense. You wouldn't have that problem with me if I was the one dealing with you, but you have to talk to your breeder, and if that doesn't work, then you have to go and research with a lawyer or with your contract. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I will talk to you next week. We will be very happy to accept new topics for the live. Maybe we should talk about the studs. Lauren gave us a very nice comment here that we should talk about the studs, and that's it. Thank you so much. We're gonna listen a little bit. We're going to listen to some music before we close, because I always like to close the live with some music for the ones that are going to bed, so they don't forget our samba songs. And good night to everybody that had the patience to listen to our voices all the way to here. And hopefully we're going to have some really good news in the next couple of weeks, right? Absolutely. Tony and Didi, thank you so much for being here. Lauren, thank you so much for being with us. And it's always nice to be here with you guys. I hope that we can contribute with your program somehow, with your knowledge, with your night, even if it's just for a little bit of entertainment. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Okay?
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We built this from the mud. No talk. All results. Yeah. We from the yard where the champs don't sleep. Bloodline real, the roots run deep. The powerhouse, Klaus, all muscle and tone. Champion tractor for perfection shown. She's that chocolate color perfection. Buchanan's got that smooth connection. The world